everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today I'm going to be talking about how to avoid buyer's remorse. So I recently just put out a video called Games I Regret Buying. And they were games that I had bought just cause, or because I thought I should, or because I had FOMO, or for whatever reason I bought, and I just kind of dumb that I bought them. I may still give some of those games a shot, cool, but if I don't like them, it's kind of like, yeah, I should have known better. I would say that for the most part, when I buy games, I kind of know if I'm going to like it or not, or if it's at least going to be my thing. I may end up not liking it, but, you know, on paper, it checked off all the boxes. So I wanted to share some tips that may or may not be obvious to you guys on just how to avoid buying stuff that you probably shouldn't buy. Let's get into it. And of course, before we get into the video itself, please make sure you're subscribed, click like, and let me know if you have any tips on how to avoid buyer's remorse yourself. Okay, so my first tip, which might seem obvious, is watch reviews, okay? Watch reviews. I know sometimes people are like, I don't want to watch anything. I don't want to be spoiled. If it's a game that you're guaranteed to like, sure, maybe avoid everything. But if you're like on the fence or you're not sure, watch a review. And I will say, watch a review from someone or from like a company or magazine or whatever outlet, news outlet that you connect with, okay? If you are watching reviews from someone and you always disagree with them, maybe that's not the person to have recommend you a game, right? If you're like, oh, you know, this YouTuber, I always agree with what they say, watch their review then, because I just feel like that's what I do. I watch people that I also disagree with because that also can help me as well. Sometimes it's just because I really like the person themselves, and sometimes it's because when they recommend a game, I know not to buy it, or when they say they hate a game, I'm like, that means I will like it, right? I know a lot of you guys have said, like, you disagree with what I say, but I feel like that's awesome because it's like, oh, you know, maybe if it's a Femtrooper game, you're like, I'm gonna avoid that. Or if it's something that I always talk about that I hate, maybe you're gonna love it, right? Like, for example, I don't really like farming stuff. So if a game has farming elements, I usually get mad about it or avoid it or don't like it. But then there's a whole crowd of people that do like that. So maybe they're like, oh, Femtrooper said this had farming stuff, I'm down, right? So watch from people that you like and that you agree with or disagree with in terms of the context. It will really help you, because if someone you love and agree with gives a game 10 out of 10, I feel like maybe then that's something worth looking into. Another really good idea if you're on the fence about a game and you're like, I don't know if I should buy that or not, is to watch like a walkthrough or let's play. Sometimes that can be harder if the game hasn't come out yet, but if it's an older game and you're like, you know, I've always wanted to play blank and it's from 2015, there will be tons of videos on YouTube of that game, and then you can look it up and be like, oh, that is not my style, or whatever, right? You should definitely look it up. Sometimes with commentary, it can help. I am not a person who watches, like, people stream or let's play. It's just not my thing. I barely have time as it is to play games myself, let alone watch someone else play video games. So I'm not into that. However, I will look through a let's play if I want to see like footage and be like, oh, what kind of game is that? How does it play? What does it feel like? What is the person saying? So definitely, you know, watch a let's play. If you just want to see footage and stuff, I mean, watch from anyone. But if there's a person you love that streams and has talked about a game that you've been on the fence on, or you're debating about, or you just don't know, watch that. Check it out. You don't have to watch the 50 hours it took them to beat the game. Just check it out. Just look at it and be like, oh yeah, I mean, that looks like my thing for sure. Because you might just want to spend 15 minutes watching the battle system or seeing the dialogue between characters, because sometimes that can throw you off if you don't know. So I feel like definitely watch a let's play, check it out, and see what the game actually looks like. We are lucky to live in a world where we get a lot of demos. I know you can't just go to Blockbuster anymore and rent a game, check it out, and be like, I hate that, whatever. However, a lot of times demos exist. Now, sometimes a demo just throws you right in and you're like, okay, I get it, I guess. Sometimes demos start at the very beginning. You get like the first hour and a half of gameplay, and then when you buy the game, you just get to continue, which I think is awesome. And some demos are like amazing. Like they give you hours and hours of gameplay, and some just give you enough to get a feel where you're like, you know what? I didn't like an hour of that. I don't think I could spend 50 hours of that. And then you just know, and then you don't have to waste your money. And I feel like demos are your savior because at least you are the one playing it. You're not watching somebody else. You are the one. I know sometimes there are times when demos can be not, a true showcase of the game where it's like, oh, the demo felt funny, but the game was great. It's like that happens. But I would say for the most part, if you play a demo and you're like, I don't like this game, you're probably not going to like the game. So really check that out. Look through demos on, all the different eShops and stuff. Look and see what is offered. And then if there's a game you like, look it up. There might be a demo. There are demos sometimes for indie games. You have no idea. So I just feel like it's definitely worth looking into to see if there's a demo because, yeah, like I said, it's one thing to watch somebody else play a game or talk about it, but you with your controller actually physically playing the game, I mean, that's huge. Now, here's a tip that, you're still buying the game, but you might not feel as bad if you didn't like it if you buy it on sale. I know you can get a lot of games on sale for like so cheap if you buy the digital copy, but then if you buy the digital copy, remember, you're stuck with it. You can't like trade it in or whatever. So there is that, unless you bought it for like $1, right? So just something to note. But if you buy the game on sale physically and you're like, that kind of sucks, and you trade it in, I feel like you didn't really lose too much, mostly your time and your dignity or whatever. However, I just feel like not a bad idea. If you're like, I don't know, I'm going to wait. Chances are the game will go on sale. And if you don't like it, not a ton lost. And if you do like it, great savings, right? So many of us are like, oh, I gotta buy it right away. And then it's like, did you really need to do that? I buy so many games that just end up sitting because I just wanted it and I like the feeling of buying a game. It makes me happy. So what? I know it's bad, but I am human and I enjoy, a pickup. I really like buying games, just like anyone else goes shopping. It's fun. So I understand that. However, if people are like, I don't know about a game, maybe worth waiting on sale. My next tip is one that is honestly just on you, and that is to trust your gut. There are many times when I look at a game and I'm like, that ain't my thing. And you know what? Most times I'm right. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm not. And maybe my gut is telling me it's not going to be my thing for a weird reason or whatever. But I would say for the most part, if I see a trailer or I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, that's not going to be for me, it's probably not. So maybe best to avoid it for now. Honestly, I know so many games that I want to play that I'm like, that's going to be awesome. Guess what? They usually are. They usually are awesome because I know what kind of games I like. At this point in my life, I get it. I know that there's a formula of game that equals yay for me. I know what that is. And if I see that, I'm like, that's probably going to be great. Now, it might end up being too hard or whatever. There's other issues that could happen, or it's glitchy or whatever. Who knows? But for the most part, I would say, yeah, I know what I like, and you should trust yourself, because if you're like, that game, everyone's playing it, everyone's loving it, but I don't think I'm going to, then you probably won't. Honestly, you probably won't. My last tip today is my favorite tip, and that is talk to your friends. Your friends know you. Your friends aren't going to tell you garbage. They're going to be honest with you. It doesn't have to be like a friend in real life. It can be all your friends online, all your friends, on Twitter, on YouTube, whatever, Discord. It doesn't matter. Talk to them, because I do it all the time. I'm like, hey guys, would I like this game? You guys know me. I ask you guys on here, and I trust, because so many people have gotten to know my style, and they're like, oh, I'm in line with, your type of gaming, and it's like, you won't like that or whatever. Or people will say, you know what? You're going to love it for the story, but you're going to hate the gameplay. Like, people will be honest with you. Talk to your friends. I talk to my friends every day about games, and I love it because I want to talk about games and I want to talk about fun stuff. But honestly, It's a huge one. Seriously. I'm always like, okay, would I like this? My friends are giving me recommendations. They're like, no, you will like this. Or you know what? You should. Give it an honest chance. People are always telling me that. And you know which friends you can trust and you know which people maybe not to, but I just feel like talk to your friends online, post a tweet about it, ask people, will I like this? What is this game like? What is this game about? Ask everybody. You're going to get answers, and I swear it helps so much. So those are my really honest, basic tips today on how to avoid buyer's remorse, because I would say for the most part, most of the games I buy, I'm pretty stoked about. I'm really happy. And yeah, obviously you're going to buy a game that looks great and it sucks. That happens. But I mean, I'm not just willy-nilly buying games, right? I'm just buying games that I'm like, that's a Femtrooper thing. That's a me game. I want to play it. I'm pumped. And that's what happens. And it's usually a win. So I want to know what kind of tips you guys have for how to avoid buyer's remorse. Or what do you think about my tips? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, I'll see you guys in my next video.